Internationally tonight, the UN calling on North Korea to cease its destabilizing acts following today's launch of 2 missiles into the Sea of Japan as the United States and South Korea carried out military exercises nearby. Let's discuss this now and get our security briefing in the process. Joining us from Newsmax Washington, former CIA analyst Fred Fleitz, currently the Vice President of the Center for Security Policy. He joins us from Newsmax Washington, and also with us tonight via Skype from Belmar, New Jersey, National Security Analyst for the Clarion Project, Ryan Mauro. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Fred, what on earth is North Korea thinking?
Well, JD, North Korean leaders do not think the way other leaders do, leaders of other countries. They believe that provocative actions, even if they're sanctioned for them, will eventually get them concessions in terms of financial aid and food assistance and fuel assistance, and that the more provocative they are, the more the West and regional states will be willing to meet with them to provide these concessions. This pattern has worked in the past, and I think that's what's going on here.
Now, Kim Jong-un is saying that North Korea has miniaturized nuclear warheads that can fit on their missiles. Ryan, is there any evidence that you're aware of that supports his claims?
I haven't seen evidence that they've actually finished that. We know they've been working on it, and there's been top officials in the military who have said that they believe that they'll soon accomplish that. But keep in mind, every single time you talk about the North Korean nuclear or missile programs, there's something missing, which is Iran. These are not 2 separate WMD programs. They are one entity. And in addition to what Fred said, which I agree with, I would also add there's a correlation between North Korea acting aggressively and internal instability. So this could be connected to how they executed a top general last month.
Fred, geography is not one of my strong suits. However, it would seem to me, given the distance on the globe between Iran and North Korea, we could figure out their cooperation. We could monitor and perhaps stop some of the surreptitious transfers of technology. Is that feasible, and how active is our intelligence monitoring what Ryan is talking about, this alliance between North Korea and Iran?
Well, a tough Security Council resolution recently was passed, which requires cargo leaving North Korea to be inspected. Now, that's not going to happen unless China does it, and there's some questions as to whether China will do this. There was a ship intercepted since the resolution passed, I think by Malaysia. So I think there's some prospect of looking at these ships, but it's hard to do because of international law, and these ships will make a long trip from North Korea to Iran without stopping. There's a lot of intelligence on it, but it's hard for the U.S. under this administration to stop a North Korean ship on the open seas because of certain agreements we have signed concerning freedom of the seas.
Well, speaking of Iran and its missile program, Ryan, yesterday, of course, we heard about a couple of rockets lobbed that had written in Hebrew words to the effect of, Israel deserves to be destroyed. The Iranians are just moving along with their program despite this alleged agreement that the United States, that certainly President Obama and Secretary of State Kerry heralded as some sort of breakthrough.
Well, I appreciate that you use the word alleged, because when the nuclear deal was first announced, the media was reporting it and the administration officials were reporting it as covering the ballistic missile program. But there was something funny about it. When you actually looked at the text of the nuclear deal, it did not cover the ballistic missile program of Iran. That was referencing a UN resolution telling Iran not to test ballistic missiles that can be used for nuclear weapons delivery. So when Iran says that their ballistic missile testing is not part of the nuclear deal, as Americans believe that it was, the Iranians, for once, are actually kind of telling the truth.
Wow. Deliberate disinformation from the Obama administration, Fred?
Oh, that's right. The President Secretary Kerry indicated last July that missiles were part of the agreement, when in fact the missile provision is hidden in an annex to a Security Council resolution that endorsed the agreement. And even though that was there, Iran renounced it. They said they never agreed to anything. to stop the launching of missiles. This recent launch, I think, is a power play by Iran. They're trying to demonstrate that they are the major power in the Middle East, and that no one will stop them.
About a minute and a half remains, gentlemen, and a piece of good news, although quite frankly I'm surprised it was released. Apparently, ISIS had one of its members turn on the organization, passing along a stolen memory stick of documents identifying at least 22,000 ISIS supporters, perhaps fighters, in over 50 countries. Why on earth do we know this information? Was it wise to put this out for us, Fred?
I think it's really good news, but Ryan's the terrorism expert. I don't want to steal his thunder with so little left in the program. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, I think that this is actually good that it's out there. I love this story, that there are people defecting. He took these documents from the leader of ISIS's internal police. This is going to cause paranoia and people to turn on each other within ISIS. So I love this story. I love that it's out there. And the information on 22,000 ISIS members, that's a real gold mine.
You know, it may seem crazy, but I can recall during my days in Congress, actually on the internet, there were applications to join Al-Qaeda. And that's what this looks a lot alike in terms of looking at the resumes. At any rate, a good positive note to end this on. Ryan Mauro in New Jersey, Fred Fleitz from Newsmax Washington. Gentlemen, as always, we thank you for your time. You heard what they had to say about two hotspots and some good news involving ISIS. Love to get your reaction to those stories as part of our intelligence briefing. You can brief us by sending us your comments at newsmaxtv.com/comments. Dan Stein and Glenn Downs when we come back.